paths or walkways, whatever you want to call them, play an essential part in any allotment, no matter how big or small. Today's video I'm going to show you what I've got in my allotment, and I'm going to talk you through the pros and cons of the various different types of paths and walkways you can get. So with my allotment here, I've got a traditional rectangular plot. It's around 25 metres long by about 10 metres wide, and dissecting straight through the middle, I've got you can just see behind us there, I've got a big row of paving slabs. Now, I was fortunate enough to have these when I took over the allotment, but I would have done the same thing anyway. If you've got this kind of plot, the first thing you want to do is get your middle path, dissecting it in two so that you can work on both sides. If you want to do things differently, that's fine, but whichever path you choose to be your main path, personally I would use paving slabs. They can be a little bit more expensive, but you can of course salvage them for free on various sites and things like that, so it doesn't have to cost a fortune. But that way, when you're pushing your wheelbarrow down, or you're carrying big heavy bags of compost or whatever, you've got a good sturdy footing underneath, and that will bear the brunt of any sort of heavy loads. So dissecting from my middle path, I've got two little rows of paving stones, each going to the compost bins. So I've got a compost bin behind us here, and I've got the main compost bins over there. So again, it's just sturdy footing for when you're pushing your wheelbarrow or carrying heavy loads again. But the main plus point really about having paving is that it's very easy to maintain. You're only going to get a few weeds sort of maybe popping up in between, and obviously you can put cement in between to keep that sort of even more easy to maintain. So it's very easy, it's sort of hassle free. Once they're there, they're not going to move. You don't really have to think about them much. So I'd say the focal point, it's also next to the raised bed as well, which is a bit of a focal point in the allotment. So any places in the allotment where you're going to be going often, I'd definitely consider putting some sort of paving or harder path underneath. So between the beds here, I've got 4 beds along here. I've gone for wood chip, which is cost effective, but more importantly, it does rot down eventually. It takes a little bit of time, but it does rot down, and that gives back to the soil, so it just helps replenish the soil. Now, a couple of problems with wood chip. It can get a little bit messy if you don't line your paths, which I haven't. So you do get wood chip sort of running off into the beds, and you do have to top it up every year or two. And of course, if you haven't got a thick layer, which I haven't really, I need to top it up, you do get weeds starting to come through a lot more than sort of a pavement or hard standing path. So as it's between the beds and it will rot down, I'd rather have that than bare soil. Some people lay planks of wood again, but I like to try and keep wood off the bed because it can become damp, and it's a haven for particularly slugs, but insects and things, and then obviously they can get out and attack your plants. So yeah, so between the beds I'd either go bare earth or wood chip. So if your allotment, or most of your allotment, is made up of raised beds, lots of individual raised beds, the tried and tested way for paths is definitely wood chip. So they're again cost effective, and it's very easy just to spade in between the gaps, just to fill that space up. There's no need to pop down membrane or line the bottom with any sort of lining. But if you do have a particular problem with weeds, you might want to put some cardboard down first, which will eventually rot away, very much like the no-dig method. So a layer of cardboard and then pop your wood chip on top. So that tends to be the tried and tested method. So two things I haven't mentioned are gravel and grass. So if you wanted to create a grass pathway, it's very hard, purely because grass seed needs a constant temperature of sort of 9 or 10 degrees, and you're only going to get that during late spring, early summer if we're lucky. And that's nighttime temperatures as well. And of course, when you sow grass seed, you've got to keep off it for a good sort of 4 to 6 weeks. And if you're doing that in sort of April, May time, that's when the allotments are starting to really spring to life, and it's just not practical to start a pathway from grass. The only good thing about that is if you're starting from scratch and you've got a big lawn or a big grassy area and you're creating raised beds from scratch, then you're automatically going to have pathways of grass in between the raised beds. It's obviously a little bit more high maintenance, you've got to keep it cut, and obviously when it rains it can get boggy and things like that. So I personally wouldn't particularly like a grass pathway. On the idea of raised beds, wood chip is a cost-effective way again. Gravel is another one in between the beds. It's a lot more hard standing. You don't have to top it up every year unlike wood chip, and obviously the rain can just soak through and if you've got good drainage, and it looks a little bit nicer, to be fair. Obviously the one drawback is the price. Wood chip's a lot more cost effective, grass is essentially free but it's a lot more high maintenance. So it just depends on your budgets and sort of what you want to go for really. So to sum up, you've got your paving, your gravel, your wood chip, your grass, your natural bare earth, and I'm sure I probably missed a couple out, but they tend to be the more common used ones. Of course I like a big path to dissect the allotment, and that's probably my top tip from this video. But obviously the choice is yours. Let us know in the comments if you've got any other type of surface. It would be interesting to have a read through, and if you've got any more questions, I'm sure there's things I've missed out here, so just ask away and I'll be more than happy to reply. So if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a video. So thanks for watching again, guys. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the subscribers and all the comments and likes, and you take care, and I'll see you on the next video.